Okay, so this is my final entry into this log cabin building YouTube channel, and it's been 6 years since I built this. Not much has changed since the last time. In general, the only thing that's different are a few scratch marks that a bear made on the cabin, and that's about it. The moisture content, of course, in the logs has finally dropped down to about 15% maybe, and it used to be up into the 40s or something crazy when we had mold problems way back 2 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But in saying that, it was obviously because I did not season the logs and I did not take the bark off the logs. But this is a fast build concept where you can do a weekend project, and in general the idea was to take the trees, saw them down, section them up, and build a cabin all within a weekend, and it'd be a great project. Same with the roof and everything, and it's easily done. It takes maybe 50 hours, so 2 guys working could do it all in a weekend. The only final step that you have to remember, I forgot, was to wash the walls down with a 50-50 mix of bleach and water. Maybe a touch of sunlight soap just to cut through the surface tension, but you'd spray it on using one of those bug sprayers they use for gardening, and it takes maybe 30 minutes to do that sort of thing, and you do that maybe once a year just after summer, and that would be all that's necessary for keeping the cabin around for many years. But yeah, it's a quick build project and a concept like that. And the idea is, if somebody doesn't mind a rustic looking cabin, you can do it without much equipment and as far into the wilderness as you want, as long as you can hike that far. But I usually carry nothing more than 20 pounds worth of stuff in my backpack, and these are the things I carry. I carry a chainsaw because I'm doing a quick build. I don't have time for a tube saw, which I also own, but this is a 16-inch bar on an 8-pound saw. It's very light. It can cut through well, a 30-inch tree if I had to, but since cedar is fairly light, a very soft wood, you get through a cedar tree quite easily. This is a pulley system, and pulley systems are great for lifting much more than what you're able to lift. So this particular one, when you set it up properly, you can lift 7 times as much weight as you're pulling. So you pull 100 pounds and you can lift 700. This is a froe, and there's another piece of equipment you need. That's for building all the shingles. You take a froe and a mallet, and you slice up your logs like cheese, I guess. And of course, if you're doing the roofing, of course, you're going to need 1.25 inch galvanized nails, maybe 500 of them, plus a little 8 or 10 ounce hammer. What is that? 8 ounce? I don't know. The roofing system actually seems to take the most stuff. It needs a zinc strip too on the top. At least that's what I did. The way a zinc strip works is normally it keeps the moss off if you're in this sort of a shelter of a lot of trees and not enough sunlight, but you know, you might not have that situation. But I didn't know how to build a proper ridge cap on my cabin, so I used a zinc strip to cover up the ridge cap, and it just goes along and stops the rain from getting in on the final peak of the cabin, but at the same time the zinc strip stops. And this is my second cabin. My second cabin is built very similarly to the previous one, and it's just a little bit larger with a different species of wood and a few extras. I've added a wood shed on the back, as I will show you here, and that's so that when you need some wood, it's drying out right there, which is a great idea. But it's really only good for maybe a couple weekends of wood. That's about it. The roof was well done. I like the way I put this roof together, and I'll explain in a second, but the notching system is pretty much the same thing. You just zip around the corner onto the deck here. It's got some frost on it. This species is cedar, and the notching was done exactly the same way. This is a 4-year-old cabin, by the way, so this is like a 4-year evaluation of this cabin. And I did have, like I said, a few extra features, and one was running water nearby, so I grabbed some for a faucet, as well as some for a little hydroelectric experiment, which I've got a little light bulb up there. Here, do I need some more wood for this fireplace? This fireplace, one of those things that fell apart. Let me just throw some wood in here. Okay. Yeah, the bark is left on all of the trees as well, just for a quick build, and the notching system was, of course, for the same reason. The roof system, very similar, except for I thought it through a little bit better, and I used a double row on the bottom, so to speak, like a half shingle running along the full first row, and then a second row on top to fill in the cracks, which would extend up to there. And then every single nailing strip has a full length shingle attached to it, as you can see, until you get to the very top. And then I use another half length shingle for the very top, overlaid on top of the full length, as well as a zinc strip for the ridge cap, just to keep the water out, as well as the moss out. And I have poly on the windows again. It seemed to work well, the last cabin. What else? I like the deck. It's a nice idea to put a deck on something so you can walk out and look out over the view, as well as have a real wood floor off the ground, of course, which is nice. Everything is on rock foundations. You can see the rock there. Well, this right here actually is the tree stump of a tree I cut and laid the log down on, so it just created another point of weight support inside the cabin. And it's kind of dark, even though there's a 13-watt bulb there. I do have a 4-year-old furnace, wood burning furnace, that has done its time in 4 years. It was double lined. It's really nice, but 4 years of just I guess the wilderness experience killed it. And it's got a lot of holes in it, as you can see. Yeah, what else we got here? Simple roof system again. Triangles are really important when you build roofs, so I triangulate a lot of things. As you can see triangle shapes everywhere, and that keeps the roof up, as well as all the nailing strips are there. And yeah, I would never consider this to be a home. I know some people on my last video said, oh, I'd love to live there, but really, you know, there's so many holes and everything. Like, obviously through the roof rafters there's holes, and every shingle has a hole in it. You can obviously, it keeps the rain out based on gravity, but you know, you would never be able to keep this thing warm without throwing tons and tons of wood into a fireplace like that. Come on, focus. But yeah, it's a great hunting cabin, or a weekend thing where you don't mind throwing wood into a fireplace and getting a different feel from the city. But I wouldn't live in a place like this unless I did something to make it bigger or improve the insulation qualities. But yeah, it is a nice cabin to just get away for a little while. What else can I tell you? It has not changed much in the last couple years. I also had issues with mold, just due to the fact that I did log and cut and lay all these logs all in the same day. Well, I shouldn't say I laid them all in the same day, but when I chop a tree down, I do lay all the logs right away from the tree, so they don't just sit there. So they were very green, and they had 40% moisture inside them, but it's down to about 20 something right now, which is pretty good, and it'll dry out even still more throughout the next couple of years. But there's not much more I can say about this cabin. It's done very well. This is my last cabin build I'm going to do, and this one is 8 feet by 8 feet for the cabin itself, which is really working out to about 7 feet, maybe on inside measurements, because I'm using 6-inch logs. It has a little 4 foot by 8 foot deck on it as well, which I can put a little chair on there, and I think I'll cut an entrance at about halfway through the middle of there, mainly because I found it kind of messy to try and cut an entrance on the side and enter in from a corner. Instead I could just run it through the middle, maybe put something on either side of the doorway. But this cabin here is on rocks as well, on all 4 corners, and I'm using a different notching system this time. I'm using a square saddle notch. Obviously all the logs are unpeeled again, as you have seen in my past builds, just to simplify and speed up the construction, which ideally I'd like to build a cabin quickly, and this is the best way I found to do it. The saddle notch I decided to use instead of the old notch I was using, simply because with the saddle notch you do not actually have to carry spikes and a little 3-pound sledgehammer up into the forest, and they are obviously unnailed, they're unspiked. They're stable in the sense that, if you take this one right here, which is saddled to the one below, it cannot move this way because of its saddle right in there, and it also cannot move this way because of this saddle right here. So every log gets 2 saddles, one on this end and one on that end, which is also very quick to do, and it's really only two cuts and a slice with a chisel, and you're done on each end. Very quick. You just have to size up the depth that you want to do. What else? Let me just put that there. The flooring was also different. I decided to use a shake flooring because it's a lot smoother and flatter. 1-inch shakes actually, but they're about 24 inches long, which coincides with the length of the joists here, which are those 4 lowest logs. And I just nailed them on right there. You can see I haven't done much work on here for a while. I banged this together for about a day and haven't been back for a little while, but oh, a lot closer to civilization this time. Nonetheless, I am in a forest, and this site has not actually seen anybody. The pathways have never been used. There are no pathways actually, but anyhow, this is on a cliff, and it's overlooking a river and a meadow and a mountain. So it's got all the right elements to make things look nice, with a few trees between me and it instead of a whole bunch of trees. But the deck here will be nice to sit on and enjoy the view when it's finally done. Anyhow, this is probably my last installment, and I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you get out there and do something similar.